All right, so unfortunately, we got to talk about two things that I'm not really interested in talking about, and that is Kamala Harris and the 2024 Democratic presidential nominations. So, listen, as a leftist, I'm not really confident about the cast that we have that's up and coming and their ability to win within the Democratic Party or Democratic primary in a 2024 run. It seems like Kamala Harris is really solidifying herself as that centrist nominee who's going to take the mantle after Joe Biden. She is following in the footsteps, obviously, of previous corporate candidates like Hillary Clinton and then Joe Biden, and then it will be Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg, I imagine, or somebody like that. So really depressing situation that we have right now. I seriously, if you guys can think of any big named leftists who would be throwing their hats in the ring to actually challenge Kamala Harris, then drop a comment below. But as of right now, we have a pretty depressing situation where it seems like Kamala is that front runner, and the fact that she is that front runner should be alarming to everybody, even if you are a Democrat and you support establishment Democratic type candidates, because even within her own campaigns or within her own sphere, right now they are showing gigantic red flags for what her campaign in 2024 could have in store for us. So I have a little article here from Axios where they are basically reporting or extending on this previous reporting we had from Politico, where basically her entire office was rebelling in a sort of way, or coming out and saying how dysfunctional it was from within. And this is not anything new. If you were paying attention to Kamala Harris's campaign during the 2020 Democratic primary, it was a shit show. It was a shit show the entire time. And, you know, she started at the beginning and she was actually doing kind of well, and she was one of the top candidates for a little bit there, and that was because she was focusing on things like policy-centered issues. And if you remember, she was a co-sponsor of Medicare for All, and then after her little, advisors and stuff, her corporate advisors that she brought in for her campaign, told her that policies like that shouldn't be the main focus of her campaign, and that she should focus more on her identity and things like that. Her campaign just absolutely fell off the face of the earth, to the point where she was not even polling within the top 3 or top 4 within California, her own home state. So it was an absolutely pathetic performance in the Democratic primary. She basically showed that she can't run a functioning campaign. There was a lot of turmoil within her campaign, and she really was not, honestly, she has the worst combination that you could ask for from a presidential candidate. She's not charismatic, okay? She's not good at appealing to a crowd and, working the crowd as somebody like Donald Trump would do. So she doesn't have the charismatic side of her, the entertaining side of her, but on top of that, she also doesn't have any, central principles that she's operating from, right? So you kind of have to pick a lane here. You either have to be fervently principled in your stances on policy issues and appeal to people's material conditions, or you have to be really charismatic and entertaining, and she really does not have any of those qualities. So she's the worst candidate that I could possibly imagine Democrats putting forward as the future of their party. But yet it seems to be exactly what they're doing, even with this report that came out from Politico. Not a healthy environment. Kamala Harris's office is rife with dissent. So when Kamala Harris finally made the decision to visit the Mexico border last week, people inside her own office were blindsided by the news. For days, aides and outside allies had been calling and texting with each other about the political fallout that a potential trip would entail. But when it became known that she was going to El Paso, it left many scrambling, including officials who were responsible for making travel assignments and other outside the VP's office charged with crafting the message across the administration. The handling of the border was the latest chaotic moment for a staff that's been quickly become mired in them. Harris's team is experiencing low morale, porous lines of communication, and diminished trust among aides and senior officials. Much of the frustration internally is directed at Tina Flournoy, Harris's chief of staff, a veteran in Democratic politics who has been working with her earlier this year. So listen, she doesn't know how to pick people to work her campaign, okay? But really this says more about her than it says about the people who she's equipping her staff with, okay? Because she doesn't have any of those central principles. If you had those central principles and policy positions that you were taking, then you could fill your staff with people and you wouldn't be, floating with the wind at whatever they say is going to be the best thing for you to say in that individual moment to boost your career prospects, right? If you weren't just listening to these aides and these outsiders who pretend to know what people want to hear, and you just spoke from a principled stance because of the beliefs that you have or the policy agenda that you have, then you wouldn't have these problems. But she does have these problems, and she clearly can't even pick a staff around her that is coherent and working together in order to advance the corporate agenda that she does have. So even then, she's not doing well. And so there was more from this Axios article that I wanted to get into, where they're talking about the worries of 2024. So why it matters. 2024 is the elephant in the room. While Biden aides overwhelmingly believe that he'll be the nominee, come on, are we really believing that Joe Biden is going to be the nominee in 2024? Listen, the man is already sundowning. He already has clear signs of a mental decline. He did really early in the Democratic primary. If you remember, people like Julian Castro and others were, and even the mainstream media were joining in these concerns about about Joe Biden's mental health decline. If you look at debates from him, like from Paul Ryan back in the Obama days when he was debating these guys, he was pretty good. I mean, not gonna lie, he was a good debater. He was on his toes. He was able to speak in a completely different way than he's able to do now. I mean, you go out and watch a Joe Biden speech right now. He's lost. I mean, he's really lost. And so, is he going to run at 81 years old in 2024? Come on. I mean, you already had to prop him up, give him the good juice for the debates, and give him whatever drug cocktail that they were putting together in order for him to be able to get up on a debate stage with Donald Trump. But are you really going to be able to do that again when he's 81 years old in 2024? I have my doubts, okay? I don't think there's any chance Biden is going to be the nominee. So then the question is, who's it going to be? Well, Kamala Harris, apparently. So they continue, an operation sometimes visibly out of sync with Biden's and missteps during a recent trip to the U.S.-Mexico border following a scrutinized interview with Lester Holt have reignited questions from Harris's 2020 primary bid. Harris would be the presumptive nominee if Biden didn't run, and administration sources believe it would be nearly impossible to unseat the first black woman vice president. So that's really what this boils down to from the perspective of the Democratic establishment. They might be worried that she's not going to be a viable candidate in 2024 and that she couldn't beat Trump or any other GOP or Ron DeSantis or whatever. They may be worried about that, but are they really going to challenge her on the identity side of this, or are they just going to bow down and be like, well, she would be the first black president or the first black female president, so we just need to get out of the way and let her go even if she's going to lose? I don't know. That might be the route that they choose to take. But yet many Democrats, including some current senior administration officials, are concerned that she could not defeat whomever the Republican Party puts up, even if it were Donald Trump. And one Democratic operative tells Axios, Alanya Treen, that most Democrats aren't saying, oh no, our heir apparent is fucking up, what are we going to do? It's more that people think, oh, she's fucking up, maybe she shouldn't be the heir apparent. So listen, even the inside Democratic elites that are controlling these issues and are deciding who's going to be the corporate candidate they put forward in 2024, even they are worried about Kamala Harris's ability to carry that mantle. And honestly, I don't blame them because, as we just discussed, her 2020 Democratic primary campaign was a shit show, okay? Her staffs that's surrounding her right now is a shit show right now. So how do you expect her to run a functioning campaign or messaging in 2024, especially against somebody like Donald Trump? Honestly, the only reason why Biden won, and he won by a large margin among the popular vote, but within the individual swing states and stuff, it was pretty close, and it wouldn't have taken that much for Donald Trump to have won this last election, right? If there wasn't the pandemic and the economic collapse, then I think Donald Trump definitely would have won. So is she going to be able to maintain this, corporate Democratic do-nothing establishment agenda that Joe Biden is going with right now if he's not able to pass any of the major policy agenda items that he ran on, which it doesn't seem like he's even trying to do at this point? Then what is she really going to be running on? I mean, if it's a battle of the identity politics coming from the left of Kamala Harris putting forward the fact that she is of African-American descent, then what exactly is going to be the battle there? Is it just going to be Donald Trump focusing on conservative culture war bullshit issues and Kamala Harris taking the alternate side of that with nobody really focusing on the economic populist side of this again? I don't really know, but I don't think she has a good chance against Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or frankly any of the other Republicans that they're putting forward right now. So this is an alarm that many Democrats should be looking at. Kamala Harris is likely not going to be the best candidate you could put forward in 2024 if you actually want to win, which, it's up in the air whether or not they even care about that.